In this episode, we're cutting the chassis rails out of the S13. This is a super common place for this chassis to go, for a few different reasons. So these spot welds here give away the fact that it's double skinned all the way up here. Pretty much it's like up to there. And then also down here, so there's a literal hole that doesn't have seam sealer in it. So water can just run in. Now, the double skins, as we saw with the door hinges, means if there's any significant overlap, then it's probably hard for the E-kit to get in there in the first place, and it tends to wick in water and then just hold it and rust away. That plus the literal hole in the top that lets water in is probably what's contributed to this. And people jack on the chassis rails on these two, which can deform it, and especially you've got those two layers, they're going to move about and like break any rust proofing you got in there. Now, I've already done the other side, and I'll be honest, it kicked my ass. Like, it's taken so long. Hopefully this will be a bit quicker. Now, you can see on this side it's really obviously damaged. The other side basically looked like that. Like, it looked fine, but then as soon as you get inside, it is not. And like, the same is true anywhere there's the two layers, it's just rusty as, and there's actually a hole further up. But by and large, it looked all right. So this isn't the worst I've seen. If you Google like S13 chassis or frame rail rust, you will see some proper horror stories where this is literally like just falling out. It's basically just like a U-shaped channel that comes up and then it's spot welded onto the chassis rail up in the engine bay, either side. So what people typically do is chop all of this bit out, drill out all the spot welds up the top, and then either buy a replacement, there's a bunch of like replacement panels you can get for this, or make up your own, which I nearly did. All right, I cut out just enough on the other side, and that is all I was gonna replace. Right, like one of those either side, and the rest of it looked fine. So this is what I was looking at. This comes all the way from the chassis rail up in the engine bay up to the floor, and I thought, you know what, that's all right. Yeah, it's still got the factory eco on it, no rust, absolutely fine. And then I noticed that it was overlapped, and I thought I have to at least check, and not ideal. And this is part of the reason it took so long. I drilled out something like 40 spot welds with a blunt bit, which took a long time. And then ended up chopping them all out, both skins anyway, so it's a total waste of time as well. But I nearly welded in that patch and called it done, but I ended up chopping loads out. So this side, we're just gonna gung-ho and just chop a massive chunk out and see how we go. But yeah, anyway you see an overlap, at least have a look, because my God, there is some nasty stuff. So we're ready to start cutting. See, I've marked this line up just past the last spot weld. So that's where it stops being double skinned, so this side's probably fine. I don't really want to be bending up this lip, particularly on the 2mm that I'm going to use. So we're going to attempt to leave that intact, and then we'll just peel it back, make sure there's no rust under there. Last thing we need to do before we cut, which I've already done at the other side, and they're symmetrical, is make up some templates. It's probably less critical if you've got repair panels, but certainly if you're making it yourself, you want to know what this profile is. And once you cut it off, like, it all gets bent and your reference is gone. So make sure, get yourself some templates. Okay, we've cut out most of the bits we want to. We've hit a bit of a snag. We've cut out all along here, great. Got a bit of floor to replace, that's fine. We cut up to roughly here, which is the same as the other side. The problem is on this side, it carried on rusting like along this ridge, and along this bottom piece, and along this side piece. So I've cut back a bit further. The problem is, we're holding it up by the chassis rails, yeah? And it's crusty all the way from there to the front, ready? I can't cut that all out if it's what's holding the car up. So I think we're gonna have to do this in two bits. So I reckon something like, I'm gonna cut around, so we'll cut out like up to here-ish. Same on this bottom side. On the top, luckily it's only rusty the bottom, so I'm gonna try and cut over the reinforcement. We'll replace their back, get all that nice and strong again, and then we will take off the power brace, fix the section under the power brace, and then put the power brace back on, and then take out this front section, because then the power brace and all the repairs back here and stuff should keep everything nice and square and straight, and then we can repair the final section. It's not ideal, but I'd rather be safe than sorry with this. So yeah, I think section by section, a little bit further up we'll cut it, and then we'll just fix all this and worry about the next bit next time. And yeah, be super careful to try and treat the back of as many of our welds as we can, because if you don't, but it gets nasty. All right, I think irritating as it is, this is the right choice, because that's where we started. Not good. Move along, like if anything worse. Awful. Yeah, still pretty bad. So we'll get all this cleaned up, we'll peel that out. It looks like it's probably okay between there. So we'll just blast it out and see how we go. Same up here, we'll peel it out a little bit, see how we're doing. Up there looks fine. I've had a quick peek over here, that looks all right. And like this side, up to there is fine. So I reckon this is probably a good place to stop. And then if we get all this box back in, and then we'll tackle that as a separate job. There is quite a sizable hole now. It's also a bit of a funny shaped hole, so I'm gonna have to decide if I want to square it off to make patches easier, or leave as much original metal as I can and just put in the rest. We'll see. There's quite a bit to tidy up. It's quite shocking how much rust is coming out of this. Like I knew, you know, some bits you can tell are bad, like the sill back there and up here. You know, you can see that, but this didn't look too bad until you start looking inside and it all looks like this. I mean, look at that pile of just nastiness. So anyone that tells you they've got a 30-year-old JDM car, probably any car to be fair, but definitely a JDM car that is rust free, unless it has been restored, I just don't believe it. Yeah, because this stuff is happening inside, and it starts and seams like behind the hinges. There's been no repairs up there. There's no damage to the car. It just wasn't properly coated, and over 30 years, it rusts. So yeah, all you oh my god, rust free guys out there, bollocks. It's bollocks. Then again, people are asking like 7-8 grand. That's pounds for like standard rusty old S13s. I don't understand. I'd have made a lot more money if I just left this in one piece and sold it as a sheet, but where's the fun in that, eh? So there we go. We have made a gigantic hole in the car. The other side took a long time. I thought this side would be quicker because we just cut a load out, but the rust is way more extensive on this side. I'm not really sure why. So that's a wrap for today, because it's just taken so long that, you know, I want to get some content out to you guys so you can see that we are making progress, albeit very slow progress, and keep things moving. Next time we are going to media blast all of the crusty bits to make sure they're all nice and fresh. There's no like corrosion hidden away. Also, that gives us a really nice finish for the high zinc primer. And then we've just got to think about how we're going to put the metal back in, because previously it was loads of separate layers, and as we know, that helps cause rust. So we're going to have to redesign it so that we've still got enough strength, but we're going to try and replace all those thin layers with less thick layers wherever possible, get them all coated up and in the car. So yeah, today we just made a massive hole. Next time, hopefully we'll be putting some metal back in those holes. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.